Deciding which champs to max up next in Raid Shadow Legends can be extremely daunting as a beginner player, but don't worry boys, this video's got your back. Here are the 5 big kind of checklist pointers that you can run through to decide if a champ is worth taking up to level 60, particularly if your account is in its earlier stages, right? If your account is in, say, its first 6 or 7 months, these pointers are going to help you out a hell of a lot, man. So thing number 1 that you should be asking yourself is, how versatile is the champ that you're about to max up? Having a good, versatile champ that is solid into a lot of different areas of the game and can fit into a lot of different kind of champion teams seamlessly is going to be one of the most important things to focus on early days, right? Because you're simply making progress in lots of different areas of the game at a time. You're not looking for specialist champs, you're looking for champs like good old Doom Priest right here. I'm going to use for an example for this checklist number 1. Simply put, she has a very, very basic A1. We don't care about that. Her A2, however, brings increased attack, strong version on a 310 cooldown. Increased attack buff is just kind of good everywhere into the game. As long as you have a nuker on your team that is attack based in how the damage works, then this is going to be a very, very useful buff. Doom Priest also brings healing at the rate of 7.5% of allied HP and removes 1 random debuff from all of your allies at the start of this champion's turn. So she brings healing and debuff removal, both of which, again, are just kind of good everywhere. Now, our in-game reviews actually suggest this as well, but you shouldn't always trust the in-game reviews. They can be a little bit misleading. What I recommend is simply searching your champion's name into hellhades.com and look at the star ratings on Hellhades. And behold, Doom Priest's ratings on hellhades.com. As you can see, she's just kind of extremely, well, she's above average everywhere. 3.5 stars and above, kind of everywhere in the game, right? Which is great. Is exactly what you want when your account is still young and you want champs that are just going to help you to progress in many, many areas of the game at once. And dude, in particular, Doom Priest helped me out so much with Doom Tower that literally since getting Doom Priest, I was able to ascend from like floor 90 where I was stuck against Nether Spider. I needed more healing and dispels to get past the poisons. She got me all the way up to and played a key role in defeating the final boss on normal mode Doom Tower, which is of course the Frost Spider, dispelling all of those frozen debuffs over and over and over again every time she got a turn. That's what I mean, dude. She helped me out against so many different bosses, and that's what you're going to be looking for, man, as checklist point number 1 when deciding who to max up next. And hey, man, all of this talk of new player accounts and stuff like that reminds me of my awesome promo link down below at the top of the video description, man. Click on that link to kickstart your new account with a free Rector Drath as soon as your account hits level 25. Rector Drath, of course, an S tier support, one that is awesome to get your hands on super early on. So if you're looking to kickstart a new free-to-play adventure, or you're a beginner player who feels like you've messed up your first account and you're looking for a clean start, then that promo link down below is the best possible way to do it. And alright, man, back to the checklist. Next up on the checklist, if you already got a few amount of kind of very versatile champions, you might want to narrow things down a little bit and look for a big, solid upgrade for a specific area of the game. Obviously, the more areas of the game that you can get value out of the champ in, the better, but the example I'm going to use for this is, of course, good old Skrank, who is honestly my only decent HP burn champ on the entire account, right? On his A3, attacks all enemies, 100% chance bugged, which I haven't got around to just yet, of placing an HP burn debuff for 2 turns. This champ alone allowed me to go from being stuck on stage 13 of Spider's Den all the way up to, bam, stage 20, which is exactly where we want to be farming, right? It was a bit of a struggle to get there, but we got there in the end, and now that we're at stage 20, we are comfortably farming this at least a 2-minute clear. And so once again, man, if you look up a champ and you're thinking about leveling it up and you're stuck in an area of content, and you go over to hellhades.com, and dude, the champ is like a 5-star champion against the boss that you're struggling against, then hell, go ahead and get them maxed out. You're probably not going to regret it, right? I certainly don't with good old Skrank. Checklist point number 3 is actually just considering how rare a champ is, and sort of counterintuitively, if you're looking for a champ to do a specific job against a certain boss in the game, right? And you have maybe a rare champion that can do the job and an epic or a legendary champion that can do the job. Dude, I'd recommend, if your account is fairly new, level up the rare champ. Get the rare champ up to max level. Get the rare champ up to level 60 and let the rare champ do the job. Why? Because it is way easier to max out the skills on a rare champion, right? Using rare skill tomes and copies of that rare champ in your tavern to max out all of their skills. It's way cheaper in terms of potions to ascend them up. It's just much easier to build a rare champion when your account is still quite new and still quite green than it is to find the you know, 18 legendary skill tomes or something to fully max out a legendary champ, that's basically going to be doing the same job. And even though I don't really have any decent examples on this account to point to, a champ that I am actually leveling up to 60 that's quite unconventional is Hellborn Sprite, because I'm using it in my clan boss team, right? An Infinity Shield Wixwell clan boss team, and I only need it to be there to increase the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn, you know. I could wait and try and find an epic or a legendary champ that does the same job and max those out instead, but why? You know, it's going to cost me a hell of a lot of epic skill tomes and stuff like that, and I might as well just do it with the rare champ, you know? Now, obviously, this rule changes if you've got an epic champ that is not only useful in, for example, a clan boss team, but you're going to use them in lots of other areas of the game as well, then fair enough, man. Max out the epic champ. But sometimes the deciding factor can be just how easy a champ is to build out, and rares are definitely much, much easier to build out than epics, and epics than Legos. Checklist number 4. So we're starting to narrow things down quite a bit now. The next point I want to make is when it comes to gearing up a champ, especially again if you're in the first 6 months of your account, you're going to have more limited gear options to work with. And certain champs, for the job that you want them to do in your account, can often lean very heavily towards needing a certain type of gear and a certain decent set of gear with things like good speed rolls and good accuracy rolls and things like that. This is something I struggled with big time with getting my hands on Wixwell. Okay, I needed this guy for my clan boss team. Very, very important component. But dude, I didn't even have an accuracy banner, okay, for Sacred Order. So I was actually lacking that when I maxed him up, and I just couldn't get good value out of him for like the first 2 or 3 weeks till I finally got my hands on an accuracy banner, and almost immediately I just maxed it up because it was the only one that I had. I needed reflex gear, which I was also lacking, you know, so I maxed this guy up to 60, and then for almost a month, I was getting very, very suboptimal use out of him. So, dude, just make sure that you've got some gear and some artifacts planned out for the guy that you're about to max up to 60. That's it, really. It's quite a simple tip, but with some champions very, very heavily leaning towards using certain gear types, and especially if your account is new, yeah, just make sure that you're ready to actually get use out of them when they hit max level. The final tip on this happy little checklist is to decide maybe just to wait, okay, and figure out if you even need to level a champ up to 60. It's a lot of resources, man. A lot of resources, brews, energy, food, champs going into that champ to get them up to max level. Sometimes a champ like Old Hermit Yorg, for example, can just be left at level 50. Now, I might take this guy up to 60 anyway, just because I love him. I think that he's great. I think he's a really, really solid champ. But he is a reviver, right? Revives 2 random allies with 60% HP, fills their 10 meters by about half, and gives them a perfect fill buff for a couple of turns, right? He's a reviver style champ. Now with revivers and any champs that are providing things like shields or just healing or even just like buff style champs, right? A lot of the time, you can just leave them at level 50 and they can do a decent amount of work for you on your account, right? If you're mostly going to be using them in things like secret rooms, in things like faction wars, right? And it's a reviver, oftentimes there's no need to take them up to level 60. You can if you want, but I'm just saying that generally things like Provoker style champs and things like your Nukers, right? Those are the kinds of champs that are going to be like the beating heart of your team, right? Those guys being up to level 60 is very, very crucially important. For Provokers, it makes them way, way tankier, and for Nukers, of course, it like quadruples their damage, right? So it's a big, big deal. Whereas Old Hermit Yorg, if I just wanted to use this guy as a reviver and that's all I cared about, he can still revive people just as efficiently if I leave him at level 50, right? So unless he's like dying on repeat and I can't keep him alive at level 50 for whatever reason, then I could just leave him at level 50 and he could do a job for me, you know? So just don't be too quick to pull the trigger on leveling up a champ to 50. Another thing to consider as well is that champs with very, very important debuffs, for example, Luria over here, she has an attack all enemies fully booked up. She can have a 75% chance of placing a freeze on all enemies, which is great, right? Very, very nice. Taking her up to level 60 could be very, very important, right? Because, of course, then you get the accuracy banner gear slot available, which of course she doesn't have right now. So for example, Wixwell right here, he had to get up to level 60 so that he could equip a core accuracy banner, right? Very, very important indeed to get his accuracy up. Basically, anybody who's placing very, very important debuffs is going to want to be up to 6 stars so that they can actually get, ascended up and get the goddamn banner equipped, because accuracy is too important to leave them at level 50. And you know what, man? The final rule that I'm gonna cover, that's not really a rule, but it's just gonna discredit everything I've just covered in this video so far, is if a champ looks really, really fun, or stupid, or hipster, screw the reviews, forget about it. Remember that Raid Shadow Legends is just a game. And you can level them whatever the hell you want up to max, you know, if it seems like a fun champ that you just want to try out. Maybe you'll come to regret it, but to be honest, what raid player even exists on this earth that hasn't leveled at least one champ up to max level that they haven't later come to regret? You know, it's just part of being a raid player, man. So hell, if a champ seems fun, ignore everything I've said and just do it. And alright, thanks for watching, guys. As always, if you look at a Kickstarter, a new raid Shadow Legends account, and you want to get your hands on an S tier epic support champion to help you do that, then simply use my promo link down below at the top of the video description, man. Use that link to sign up to raid, and as soon as you hit account level 25, you get your hands on Rector Drath. Isn't she absolutely splendid? Thanks for watching, guys. Hope yours did enjoy, and I'm going to catch all of y'all just a tad bit later, man.